Welcome to the Woodpreneur podcast, the best podcast for the business and marketing side of the sawmill, lumber, and wood industry. What's a woodpreneur? If you have a business where you make money as a woodworker, sawmill owner, selling slabs, or a content creator, then you're a woodpreneur. My name's Steve Larziliere, and I started Woodpreneur Life, Acres of Timber, and the Woodpreneur podcast just for makers, wood entrepreneurs, and small business owners just like you. We're on a mission to empower thousands of wood businesses to grow sustainably and put out great products. Each week, I interview makers, sawyers, content creators, and 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs that know the wood industry inside and out. With topics covering everything from the urban lumber movement, sustainable sourcing and design, we'll discuss the ins and outs of how to grow, monetize, and fully immerse yourself in the woodpreneur lifestyle. If you're a hobbyist, a full-time wood business owner, part-time entrepreneur who wants to become a content creator, or quit your day job to pursue your dreams, the Woodpreneur podcast is just for you. Thanks so much for listening. Now enjoy this episode. Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur podcast. This is your host, Steve. Today's guest is Megan Offner from New York Heartwoods. How you doing, Megan?
I'm good. How are you doing, Steve?
I'm well. So you have a distinct pleasure of being one of our first 10 guests ever, and our very first female woodpreneur that was ever on our podcast. And like, you're so old school. Wow. The podcast used to be called the Sawmill Business Podcast back when you were like heavily milling and we were only focused on sawmill businesses, but we've since broadened it. So I thought it'd be cool because I was on your Instagram. I was like, wow, you've really grown in the past 6 years. Do you believe it's been 6 years since we talked?
So much has changed.
Couple presidents, a pandemic, right? Like just a couple things, right? So
yeah, you gotta be flexible.
You gotta be flexible. So tell everybody about New York Heartwoods. What are you today?
Today, we are a fabricator of, I guess, sustainable wood furniture. As you know, we started off milling and selling lumber and slabs, and very early on, people started asking for furniture. So originally I was subbing that out and then gradually put a team together. Now it's, I have just this incredible, it's more of like a cooperative or collective business at this point, all women. We do
Cool.
A lot of furniture made from local wood, a lot made from our clients' own trees. Because of the milling and drying background, I work with clients that are either doing new construction or that have removed trees that are dying or diseased, or they're afraid they're going to fall on their house, but they want to have that material incorporated into their home. So I'll now just project manage the milling and drying process, work with the client on the designs, and then, with my team. And we return the wood from that tree to the client in the form of, everything from, we do mostly furniture, sometimes, other kinds of surfaces, but yeah. Primarily we're a furniture shop.
Wow. Are you still milling? Do you still have a mill?
No, I sometimes miss milling. It's so fun to open up and see the inside of
Yeah.
And we are moving to a location where there is land around our new shop. We'll be moving in the next couple of months. And, we've talked about possibly milling and drying our own wood again. It's just, I don't think it's the best use of my time and skills and energy. And perhaps that's a partnership opportunity down the line with someone in your community.
Yeah.
Like currently I have, over the last 11 years since I've started doing this work, I've amassed a network of sawyers and kiln operators, and depending on where our clients are based and the availability, I'll just set up, the milling and drying in a few different locations, but we're moving to Accord, New York. And
Is that ACCORD?
yes.
Is
And
that how you say it? I feel like I used to say accord. Is it accord?
well, some people say Accord, some people
Yeah,
say,
yeah. That's near New Paltz, right? Isn't that near New Paltz?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Cool.
exciting. We'll have, almost twice as much room as we have now. Like we've had to rent a storage unit for a while because we're running out of space.
Uh-huh.
So I guess we're, like a lot of people during the pandemic, we're in the enviable position of having almost too much work. So,
Yeah.
but
Well, you were in that location where a lot of New Yorkers were buying stuff upstate and like going crazy renovating and building their, country homes and stuff.
yeah, like having an apartment's worth of furniture and trying to outfit a house now.
Outfit a house. Yeah. So could you walk me back, like because that was an interesting thing that you said. You said it was like milling and drying wasn't the best use of your time and your skills. Like what prompted that switch? Because I remember like you kind of went in a little heavy 6 years ago into like milling, drying, like, you were really, you wanted to get as close as possible to the true like tree to to final form stage. But like what was there like a business event that sort of prompted the switch to that, to like making more furniture?
Well, being in my 40s now, like
Okay.
physically, it's exhausting, that side of things. But my dad just went through multiple back surgeries. I think I'm just aware of my genetics in some
Hmm.
capacity, but mostly like I love, I mean, we still do that. We're still as close to the cycle as we can be, like we go to the site, I like physically, like I'll draw a cross section of the tree, like, and send it to a sawyer and tell them how I want it to be milled, like
Yeah.
dissect the material. Like it's all happening the same way. It's just physically not doing that part and having the weight, like the physical weight of the infrastructure of having so much wood, so
Saw blades, right? Like saw blades.
more to maintain, more to have, just like more to
Yeah.
manage. I really enjoy our, like right now, there's 3.5 of us, 3 full-time, 1 part-time, and we're probably bringing on another either part-time or full-time person soon. And, if we were milling and drying, we'd have to add another couple of people. Like the part I love is really the problem solving and creating opportunities for clients and like making, it's just like it's such a fulfilling way to work, and it's meaningful both for us but for the people that we're making things for. And
Mhm.
I the management part of it I really enjoy, but the physical side, yeah, just
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
too much. I think especially during the pandemic, I think we've all, or a lot of us have tried to figure out like how to simplify our lives in a way so we can have the
Yeah.
time we want with the people we love, and and just to have a more balanced lifestyle. And I just don't want to exhaust myself by doing everything, which when I was a little bit younger, I had more energy.
Sure.
And, I had COVID it was for like, for 3 weeks, and
Yeah.
I just,
Like the first version or like the subsequent various? Oh, you had the OG. You had the OG one. Yeah.
April of 2020, and there was like some times where I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna get through this. Like it was really scary, and I think you just figure out like what you really want to do with your life. And I love the conversations and the design and like the working with
Yeah.
these, and I just want to focus on the things that I really love about what we do. And I don't feel like I have anything to prove to anybody. It's like,
Yeah.
having to mill the wood and, do everything.
Yeah. Hey, so tell me, how has like your approach to branding and sort of marketing and like client, like getting new clients, like how has that changed from 6 years ago to now?
Well, now, I mean, we've always marketed and been branded as a, a woman-owned business, as and as a very sustainable business, like authentically sustainable.
Hmm.
Give a shit. It's,
Yeah.
and there's no greenwashing. It's just like we love the trees, we love the artistry, the craftsmanship. Like we're just really, um, uh, want to create a good product in a way that we can stand behind every step of like the chain of custody of like the production of everything. Uh,
Hmm.
and now that we're like fully woman owned and operated, that's been sort of a marketing piece that people find interesting. I've had, I think when we talked last time, I was working, well, I had I've worked originally I was working with men, um, I've had trans and non-binary employees, and across the gender spectrum, and it wasn't necessarily a conscious thing to have an all-female crew. It's just I think also during the pandemic, we've sort of gravitated to find each other, to just really enjoy the people that we're working with, and who we want to spend time with is spend
Hmm.
most of our time at work. Yeah.
Yeah.
uh, but to get back to your question, so those two pieces are something that I think are organically part of our marketing, that have shifted, like the whole tree process, which we were kind of doing before, but now it's elevated to what we're able to create. Um,
Hmm.
we sell on, we're mostly a direct to client um, company, B to, or no, yeah, would not B2B, B to direct to consumer.
B2C.
B2C. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's never a word I really.
Yeah,
Anyway,
for sure.
but we sell on First Dibs. Like
Okay.
it's a virtual platform for makers and
Hmm.
for furniture. Uh, but it's still primarily just been word of mouth. I think like 99.5% of the people that we've worked with just love what they end up with. And, you know, they are our greatest source of business, just what they share with others.
That's really cool. And the one thing that I remember too was, wasn't your background, was it in like fashion or set design or something like that? Like did
Yeah, it was
yeah.
that's for fashion advertising, print media. So it was like,
Okay.
and then, yeah, I just stopped wanting to build things and just throw them away after a day.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, just to have
Yeah.
more enduring.
What's kind of been, how did you survive the pandemic?
We closed for 2 months at the very beginning, or I was working remotely.
Hmm.
I recently moved to a new location. We had had some issues with our previous landlord that kind of threw.
This is now like, is this now your third location?
Yeah, and now we're moving to our fourth.
Yeah.
Because originally, we were in Warwick when I was milling the wood.
Then you
Um,
moved to Kingston.
we moved to Kingston. I was in a place for a year. There was a flood. I moved to another place. They were going to tear the building down. Then they changed their mind, but then they didn't pay the utilities. So we had to move, it was just kind of a slippery slope with that landlord.
Yeah.
We moved to a new location, which has been fantastic. It's a
Hmm.
cabinet shop and next to a powder coater and near a finisher that we use for like, our commercial projects. And so it's a nice industry cluster, but it's not big enough. So
Hmm.
my colleague, who's my production partner now, she's building a pole barn, like a shop out on land that she owns. And yeah, we're gonna move there. So it feels like the final, like we'll finally have a home, which
Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot of moving.
yeah, yeah,
That's a
and
lot of moving.
as you know, it's not light.
It's not light haul either. Yeah. What tell me what has been like your best investment in the past 5 or 6 years that had enabled you to grow?
People,
People. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
finding the right people.
Hmm.
I mean, it's like you can find people that are capable and talented, but finding people that are passionate and loyal, uh,
Hmm.
especially I think with woodworking, um, that's why like we really have kind of a cooperative model now. We do profit sharing. It's like, how do you make it worth somebody who has a lot of talent, to not just go and do their own thing? Uh,
Yeah.
and Ashira, who has the land, and is building the pole barn. She had her own company, and I was subbing some things out to her. She had a CNC machine, and was doing some fabrication for me prior to the pandemic. And when I was selling wood, we were originally buying lumber from me. So we've
Hmm.
for the last years, but her shop was in Brooklyn, and during the pandemic, a lot of work dried up down there while it just boomed up here. So she came up and started just doing some projects in my shop, and we just realized that it's so much easier to not do everything yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm running the business, she's running the production. Her being able to like really run with the fabrication side of things has opened up the ability for us to grow the full circle, like working with clients with their own trees. Like I can do more consulting,
Hmm.
part that I really love. And then we have this incredible assistant, and I mean, I like we've all like we all love working with every a lot of men. It's like it's not any judgment against any sort of gender. It's just like there it's like Lindsay was working in a shop where she just didn't feel like the communication was on a level where she felt like she could learn and grow. It was
Hmm.
just like the way that she wanted to that she learned just happened to be a better fit for working with us. And uh,
Yeah.
it's really nice just to see everybody thriving, and I feel like the business is thriving because we're all personally just really enjoying it and enjoying each other. So
That's cool. That's really, really cool. Um, as the sort of primary owner, I remember I think you had like a partner before when I first met. Did you have, and then um I mean, I think you answered this question, but like I feel like a lot of times because the sort of woodworking woodpreneur community is very like self-starting, independent, want to own their own thing. What was it like to kind of switch to that cooperative model for you?
for me it was a relief, actually. I don't have a lot of ego in it being mine. um,
Hmm.
I think as long as everybody feels like they have ownership over part of it, it doesn't really, like like Sherry gets to run production. Lindsay has a lot of say about that production and about design. We work together on now, like on the pricing models for different things. It's just like it's very collaborative. Um, and I may actually start my own like separate company that's just like the consulting side of things, so that I do have something that just feels like it's my own, but I
Yeah. Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
I think, when if you can let go of like the need to have ownership
Ownership. Yeah.
and be flexible, and like so many growing pains with that, and like there's a lot to let go of things needing to look and be a certain way, but
You
it
could
in
grow
the
much faster too. You grow much faster when you have more capable, strong,
yeah.
competent people around, you know? So what's this year look like for you? What's the goal in 2022?
Well, we're moving.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big piece. Like I mentioned, find other sawyer and kiln partners, or, I mean, if it worked, maybe there's a way that we could, start baking that into our model ourselves. But it just feels like a lot, at least in the next couple of years to
For
add,
sure.
especially as we're really growing the furniture side.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have your own line, or is it, because I remember I had messaged you a couple years ago and you're like, yeah, I'm starting my own line. So are this stuff that you make, are people buying your designs, or are you still doing custom?
We do both. It's increasingly custom. Um, we're trying to get it more to probably like a 50-50 balance, but we're getting some larger, we're doing a hospitality project, and like we just did that Etsy project. So, those commercial gigs are great, like, because a lot of times we've made so many beds during the pandemic, bed frames.
Yeah.
They're just like one-off pieces, and they're really beautiful, but they're kind of like, they take a lot of time.
They
And
take a lot of time. Yeah.
yeah, like when we could do like multiples of the same thing, that's definitely helpful for us, or just as a, for any business, I think.
Yeah.
Um, but as artisans, like creatively, it is interesting to just have like the challenge of like a really beautiful one-off piece, and just like
That you just do over and over, right? Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah, so our collection's on our website.
Hmm.
We're adding to it all the time. And
Hey, there was another thing that I remembered that you did in the past 6 years, and it was you got a lot involved with like conferences and stuff. I remember you did something at like the Navy Yard, or there was something that I remember you doing um where and I kind of preach this to a lot of woodpreneurs, and I tell them like, take a leadership role, right? Like stand for something, right? And I remember you doing that. Like, I think you were like, I think you were part of it. There's like Woodmizer there, or like Granberg was there, which used to be a client of mine. And so tell me about that. And are you still involved with that, or tell me how you got involved with that kind of line of thinking, and as a way to sort of network and grow?
um, well, we've been doing workshops since the beginning. Like when
Mm,
we were just milling wood, we would host like game of logging workshops, and as part of the forest management of the land where we were milling wood, we'd mark like dying and diseased trees. It was like when a lot of the ash trees were still standing, and
yeah, yeah.
a lot of dying ash and some dying cherry. And we then, host a class. It was like a win-win, because the landowner got some, trees taken down for free. We had, about 10 people come and learn chainsaw safety skills. And it was just like a nice way to build community.
Mm-hmm.
Since then I've done a couple of like log to lumber workshops, mostly for architects and designers and woodworkers. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's like when you see a log processed, and you see where quarter sawn and flat sawn and like all of those, it's like, I guess, like similar to, there was like the whole like um butcher movement, where it's like, you learn like the different parts of like how to bisect a cow and like all of these things. I think about that like with a tree. It's like, it's like you get all these cuts, and then you see how they respond and react in real time, and then be able to understand that it can make you a better designer or woodworker, I think.
Yeah.
And also just to instill the fact that it comes from a tree. It's not like chicken
Mm,
comes, on a styrofoam container, in a styrofoam container. It's like wood. It actually comes from a tree. It's not just like a lumberyard like
yeah.
product. And like when we can connect it back to the natural world, I think there's just like there's like just a more holistic movement that can happen with fabricating and with design and with making. And at least it, like that's been my experience. So I just like to open up that opportunity for other people to perhaps, experience that. So we are looking at, doing classes again, perhaps this year, depending how long it takes us to get settled in the new shop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like teaching, and
Yeah.
I think our model is kind of unique. I mean, there's plenty of people. I mean, there's enough people that aren't familiar with it that I think that there's something, that we can share about what we've learned over the last decade plus. That's, I don't know. I get excited about
Yeah.
teaching and about that.
Was I remember you were somebody that went and learned from Jim Berkmeyer.
Workmeyer, yeah, he's great.
Yeah, yeah.
Or did
I
you?
had a, what's that? No, no. Well, I've interviewed him on the podcast and got his books, but yeah, he was like a real advocate, pioneer, and kind of one of the first people to like open up their home and their business to say, steal my business model, right? Like, which is pretty cool. So that approach of like the teaching, did you find residual effects for your business in terms of like growth and customers and stuff?
I I don't know that it's necessarily, helped the furniture side of our business. I think
Mhm.
people that come, yeah. I mean, in some regards, like I think the architects and the interior designers that came to the like log to lumber workshop that I did, they've been clients, but they were already kind of on our radar before.
For sure.
So it's hard to connect one with the other. But I hadn't linked that interest back to Jim. So but yeah, it was the week that I spent working with him that like gave me the aha moment of this is what I want to do. And
Yeah.
then 2 weeks later was introduced to a guy that had a sawmill that he wasn't using, and then everything just started falling into place. And within a couple of months of like getting to know he and his wife, and I just, 9 months after meeting him, I moved up from Brooklyn and started milling wood full time.
That's awesome.
It was definitely kicked off by that class with Jim. I recommend
That's
it.
awesome.
It's like,
Yeah, I don't think he's doing it anymore. I'm not too sure, but I remember he was like, I'm getting old. I don't want to do this anymore. He may still be doing it. So I think what's different than last time we talked was this is the part of the interview where I give you any marketing or business advice. And so is there anything that you've been sort of trying to think through, or something that you need to work on in terms of marketing or business wise that I could help you with?
I guess business wise, there is that question of like how we might potentially collaborate more specifically with another mill, like how that might be structured, like to set up like a partnership with like the milling and drying.
Mm-hmm.
That's always kind of in the background.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, you've looked at I don't know how much you've looked at the website and the social media, but like, what do you see as potential?
All right. So let me talk about the the milling partnership.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I had a friend, he was like, he owned a sawmill, and he was like, it's like, I'm going to start a tree service company so I can, go out and like always have access to trees. Right. Cause he's like, I'm tired of paying for it. And at least I could get paid for taking down the tree, and then I get to, mill it. And so one idea in regards to that, which I absolutely love, is to, with your new property, to one way to structure it is like either it's a tree service company that has a mill and a kiln, or you go in on it with somebody if they have a mill but they don't have a kiln, right? Or because there's somebody, so like in about, I don't know, 6 months to a year, like there's going to be even more Woodmizer sawmills out on the market. Like Woodmizer sold a lot of sawmills, sold a lot of mills during the pandemic, and they're literally still now fulfilling them. And so I would kind of creep on Craigslist to see what mills are out there, and if they're portable mills and they want like a stationary place, like you can work out something that like, they get free rent, but they have to mill trees for free, and maybe you pay the saw blades or something like that, right? But like they would have to, so maybe there's like a rent situation, or maybe there's a partnership situation where you own a piece of their company, and then maybe it's like a new venture. They can keep whatever they were normally doing, but like the milling operation part, like that could be a venture. Or the third aspect, which could be super interesting, so I have clients that have gotten grants, right? And so New York State, they don't call it DNR, they call it Department of Environmental Conservation. It's called DEC, right? I'm from New York, so I know. So, I would look up to see if they have an urban lumber sort of program, because there may be some, like you may be able to get a grant to buy the whole thing. And from there, I would find if you want to remain a woman-owned cooperative, find a woman and then train them, send them to go gym, and then like have them study and have it be like a thing on that's continuously part of your business, right? So one is to find somebody and have them like rent space at your location, and then you split profits from there. Two is to form a co-venture with somebody, or three is to start one. But like I wouldn't take out loans or do anything like that. I would see if I could craft a story around the mission that you all have. So that's one thing. The next thing is between the one thing, let me just see, let me go to about us. What would be great on your website? I feel like I'd love as you are doing the installs, or you're doing like the final reveal to your clients, right? That you pull out your phone and you're like, hey, we just delivered. What do you think? And you literally get a testimonial, because you have some pretty big name clients, right? What if you can add a video or video to that experience? You know what I mean? Because I think that would make a really big difference in terms of like getting true, because you have big name clients. So like adding a layer of social proof there. And then if there's a way that people can get a quote and get a sense of quotes from you and have it be like almost like instantaneous gratification, like, oh, I can get something like this, but customized. Here's the price range. You know what I mean? So that's something that I think about. I would also add a Facebook pixel to your website, because it allows you to keep track of like who and when you decide, or if you ever decide to advertise on Instagram, you can collect all of that data and then target those people that have visited your website. So
I understand is the Facebook. So you have to, we're on Facebook. I just don't use it ever, except for like Facebook Marketplace. So,
yeah.
deleted it. So would that icons still need to be on the website in order to track the marketing?
No, but what you can do, it's just like, I'll send you a link, but it's a way for you to just put it onto your website and it's tracking in the background. That's all it is. You know what I mean? It's not something that you're advertising outwardly. It's just like something that sneaky big tech companies do. But as a business owner and a marketer, it allows you to really take advantage of data, you know. And I'm sure you have a customer list and a market list. Like you can upload your customer list and then market to your customer list, right? Let them know what you have going on. So
Thanks.
cool. So how can people get in touch? What's your website and Instagram?
Website is www.newyorkheartwoods.com. Instagram is New York Heartwoods, and it's New York spelled out and Heartwoods plural.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Megan. It was great to catch up.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Good to see you too. And I'll talk to you soon. Best of luck to everything. Thanks for checking out the latest episode of the Woodpreneur podcast. If you found value and love what you listened to, please subscribe, rate, and review so that more people can learn about our mission and vision. Lastly, join our community, the Woodpreneur membership community. It's a marketing and training program to help you market and build your wood business past 6 figures. Give it a test and apply what you learned to your business.